Good morning, students. Next, we can study about the endocrine system. So, already we know the endocrine glands. Here, this is a section of the brain. This is the cerebrum, and here comes we can see a small gland here. This is our pituitary gland, one of the endocrine gland. Then we will see which are the endocrine gland. So, we can see which endocrine glands. Endocrine glands are the glands which are without ductless glands. Okay, they are the ductless glands, and they pour their secretions indirectly into the blood. Okay, and the secretions are known as hormones. So they secrete hormones. Endocrine glands secrete hormones. So we will see which are the endocrine glands in our body. So first one is in the brain we can see there is a small gland that is known as pineal gland, which is known as third eye, pineal gland. And next gland in the brain, that is our pituitary gland. Then towards the neck region we can see thyroid gland and the parathyroid glands, thyroid and parathyroid gland in the neck. Okay. Then coming to the thoracic part, the upper part, that we can see the thymus. They secrete not purely endocrine, they secrete some hormones also. And above the kidney, in the abdomen we can see above the kidney there will be adrenal gland or suprarenal gland. Okay, and the pancreas, the ilex endocrine part is there, both endocrine and exocrine part is there in the pancreas. So the endocrine part is known as islets of Langerhans. So that is the endocrine part of the pancreas, islets of Langerhans. Okay. So these are the endocrine glands in our body. Endocrine glands, we will see one by one. So first we can study about the pituitary gland. So pituitary gland, we can see this is the brain, full brain. This is a sagittal section of a brain. So half brain can be seen here. Okay. So the large part of this brain, this is known as cerebrum. And here we can see this is the corpus callosum, and this portion, this is our cerebellum. This is known as cerebellum, and this part is known as brainstem. This is the brainstem. Okay. Then near to the brainstem here we can see there is a connection which along downwards and connects the pituitary gland. See, this is the stalk of the pituitary gland, and this is the pituitary gland. So pituitary gland can be seen inside the sphenoid bone. This is our sphenoid bone. So inside the upper surface of the body of the sphenoid, this is body of the sphenoid bone, and in the upper part of the body of the sphenoid, in the center there is a depression. This is known as hypophyseal fossa. Okay, hypophyseal fossa or pituitary fossa. So inside the pituitary fossa or the hypophyseal fossa, we can see a small gland. So this is our pituitary gland. We can see this pituitary gland is connected to the brain by a stalk. This is known as stalk of the pituitary gland or infundibulum of the pituitary gland. Hypophyseal stalk, or so this is connected to the hypothalamus. Here comes the hypothalamus. So hypothalamus and the pituitary are connected by an infundibulum or pituitary stalk. This is the enlarged view. Here we can see this is our pituitary gland. This is the pituitary stalk or infundibulum, and here comes the thalamus. This is the thalamus. Hypothalamus. Here comes the thalamus. This is thalamus. This one is the hypothalamus. This is hypothalamus. Thalamus. Okay. So this is our pituitary gland. Okay. So the pituitary gland, it is a small gland, and it is about 1 centimeter in diameter. There's 1 centimeter in diameter and 1 gram in weight. 1 gram in weight, and lies inside the pituitary fossa of the sphenoid bone. Okay. And it is connected to the hypothalamus by the hypophyseal stalk or infundibulum or pituitary stalk. In subdivisions, the pituitary gland is divided into two parts. There is an anterior pituitary and the posterior pituitary. Anterior pituitary is also known as adenohypophysis, and posterior pituitary is known as neurohypophysis. Neurohypophysis. So this is adenohypophysis or anterior pituitary. This is neurohypophysis or posterior pituitary. And between the anterior hypophysis and the posterior hypophysis, there is a small intermediate area that is known as pars intermedia. Pars intermedia. Yeah. And this adenohypophysis or anterior pituitary, it is again divided into three parts. Okay. And this large anterior part, this is known as pars distalis. Then this tube-like projection, this is known as pars tuberalis. Pars tuberalis, and here we can see a small portion that is known as pars intermedia. Okay. So pars distalis, pars tuberalis, and pars intermedia. And in between the pars distalis and pars intermedia, there is a pouch that is known as hypophyseal pouch. So there is a cleft we can see between the pars distalis and the pars intermedia, that is known as cleft, pituitary cleft or hypophyseal cleft. Okay. So these are the three parts of the anterior pituitary or adenohypophysis: pars distalis, tuberalis, and intermedia, pars intermedia. Three parts. Okay. Then this is the pars nervosa or neurohypophysis. Okay. So neurohypophysis is again divided into three parts. It is median eminence. This is the median eminence. Then infundibulum. This is the median eminence. Then infundibulum. Then pars nervosa. Pars nervosa, infundibulum, then median eminence. So neurohypophysis or posterior pituitary is again divided into three parts: pars nervosa, infundibulum, and median eminence. So these are the subdivisions of the pituitary gland. Next is the relations of the pituitary gland. Superior relation. Superiorly, we can see pituitary gland is related to optic chiasma. This is the optic chiasma. Optic chiasma means it is the crossing over of the optic nerve, crossing of the optic nerve. So that is known as optic chiasma. So superiorly, it is related to optic chiasma. Then tuber cinereum, optic chiasma, tuber cinereum. Then mammillary bodies, it is related to mammillary bodies, and infundibular recess of the third ventricle. This is the third ventricle. So in recess, this is the infundibulum. So we can see the extension of the third ventricle. Third ventricle means cavities of the brain. Okay. So infundibular recess of the third ventricle. This is the infundibular recess of third ventricle. So these are then diaphragma cellae. Diaphragma cellae means it's a I will show you. So this is the pituitary gland. Here we can see this is our sphenoid bone. So this is body of the sphenoid. This is the pituitary fossa. Okay. Then here we can see this is the meninges. That is dura mater of the brain. So the dura mater, we can see it forms a fold here. So this is known as diaphragma cellae. So it is related to diaphragma cellae. Then this is the optic chiasma. We can see the crossing of the optic nerve. So optic chiasma. Then above we can either side there will be tuber cinereum, then mammillary bodies. These are the superior relations. Okay. Then inferior relations. Inferiorly, the pituitary gland is related to, here we can see the dura mater is coming downward. So there will be a layer of two layers of dura mater. Then in between the two layers of dura mater, this is one layer, this is another layer. So between the two layers of dura mater, we can see venous plexus. So venous plexus. Then below the venous plexus there will be body of the sphenoid. Then inside the body of the sphenoid we can see sphenoidal air sinuses. So these are the inferior relations of the pituitary gland. Okay. Then on either side, it is related to cavernous sinus. This is our cavernous sinus. Cavernous sinus is actually the venous blood-filled cavity spaces between the two layers of the dura mater. Here we can see this between the two layers of dura mater, blood-filled spaces. They are the this is known as on either side of the pituitary gland. This is the cavernous sinus. So through the cavernous sinus, we can see the internal carotid artery is passing. So this is the cavernous sinus. So either side it is related to cavernous sinus. Okay. So these are the relations of the pituitary gland. Then regarding the development of the pituitary gland, the anterior pituitary or adenohypophysis is developed from the upward projection from the upper part of the nasopharynx. This is our pharynx. So from the pharynx there is a projection, pouch-like projections will come from the stomatodeum, external roof of the ectodermal roof of the stomatodeum, that is at the roof of the pharynx. If near the roof of the pharynx there is a pouch will come upward. That pouch is known as Rathke's pouch. So the anterior pituitary is developed from the Rathke's pouch, like this it will be covered. And the posterior pituitary develops from the brain, part of the brain, that is neuroectoderm. Okay, it is developed from the neuroectoderm. So it is a downward growth from the floor of the diencephalon. This is our diencephalon or hypothalamus. So this is a downward projection from the neuroectoderm. So it is derived from the neuroectoderm. The anterior pituitary is derived from the Rathke's pouch, that is extension from the roof of the pharynx. Okay. So these are the two developmental part of the pituitary gland development. Then next is histology of the pituitary gland. This is the slide, histology of slide showing the histology of the pituitary gland. Here we can make out these dark portions. This is the anterior pituitary, and this white portion, this is the posterior pituitary, and in between this is the intermediate area. Okay. Then if we are going into the anterior pituitary, so we can see different clusters of cells. The group of cells can be seen. Between the group of cells there will be sinuses, blood-filled sinuses can be seen in the anterior pituitary. This is a magnified view of the anterior pituitary. Here we can see the group of cells. See, group of cells which are separated by the blood vessels or sinuses, blood-filled spaces. Then this group of cells, the cells comprises of two type of cells can be seen in the anterior pituitary: chromophil cells and chromophobe cells. Okay. Chromophil cells are the staining cells, that is cells which take stain, colored portions. These colored cells, they are the chromophil cells, and chromophobe cells are the cells without any stain. Chromophobe, these are the chromophobe cells, white color regions, white cells without taking any stain. Okay. And these chromophils are of two types, acidophils and basophils. Acidophils means they are pink stain, acidophil cells or alpha cells, acidophil cells, they are the pink staining cells, and basophils, they are the blue staining cells, beta cells, or basophil cells or beta cells, they are the blue cells. So these are the two types of chromophil cells, and these acidophils, the two types of cells can be seen. These pink color cells are of two types again. The somatotropes, they are the growth hormone secreting cells. Somatotropes can be seen and mammotropes can be seen. Mammotropes are the prolactin cells, that is cells which secretes prolactin, lactogenic hormones. So two types of acidophils can be seen, somatotropes and mammotropes. Somatotropes and mammotropes. Acidophils are of two types. Somatotropes are the cells which secrete growth hormone, and mammotropes are the cells which helps in the prolactin cells, lactogenic hormones. It secrete lactogenic hormones. Okay, mammotropes. Then basophil cells, they are of different types. Basophils, that is beta cells, blue color cells. There are thyrotropes are there, that is thyroid stimulating hormone secreting cells. Thyroid stimulating hormone secreting cells are there. Then corticotropes are there, which secretes the adrenocorticotropic hormone ACTH. Then gonadotropes are there, which secrete follicle stimulating hormones, gonadotropes. Then luteotropes are there, which secretes the luteinizing hormone, luteotropes. These are the basophil cells. Basophil cells. Thyrotropes, corticotropes, gonadotropes, and luteotropes. Then these are the chromophil cells, that is cells with having stain, chromophils. Then chromophobe cells, they are the considered as the non-secretory phase. Either they will be represent the non-secretory phase of the chromophils, or they are their precursors, or they are the precursors of the acidophils. Chromophobe cells, cells without staining. So these are the different types of cells in the anterior pituitary. Okay. Then coming to the posterior lobe, intermediate lobe. This is the intermediate part, pars intermedia. So the pars intermedia, we can see two types of colloid cells. Colloid. It is made up of numerous basophil cells and chromophobe cells surrounding the masses of colloid material. Here we can see that there will be colloid cells, because the cells, there will be basophil cells and chromophobe cells which surrounds a secretory material, colloid. This is the colloid. So these are known as cystic follicles. Cystic follicles. Follicles. So basophil cells can be seen surrounding the colloid. Then here also chromophobe cells can be seen surrounding the colloid. So two types of follicles can be seen in the pars intermedia. Pars intermedia, and they will be secreting the melanocyte stimulating hormones. Melanocyte stimulating hormones. Okay, pars intermedia. Okay, then comes the pars posterior. This is the pars posterior. Then the pars posterior, we can see a large number of non-myelinated fibers. Nerve fibers. You can see the nerve fibers, large number of nerve fibers can be seen, and in between the nerve fibers there will be modified neurological cells. They are known as pituocytes. Pituocytes. Here we can see these are the nucleus of the pituocytes. Nucleus. Pituocytes can be seen. They are the supporting cells. Okay. Non-nervous cells. Pituocytes can be seen, and sinusoids also can be seen here. Pars nervosa. So this is pars nervosa. Pars nervosa is formed by the number of unmyelinated nerve fibers. Okay, in between the nerve fibers, the pituocytes can be seen, that is supporting cells, neurological cells, pituocytes. Okay, this can be seen in the neurohypophysis. So this is the histology of the adenohypophysis or anterior pituitary, intermediate pars intermedia, then posterior pituitary. The posterior pituitary, there will be two hormones. They will be, it is not secreted from the pituitary gland, but it is secreted from the hypothalamus, and from the hypothalamus it will reaches the posterior pituitary or neurohypophysis and will be stored in the neurohypophysis. That is the vasopressin and oxytocin. So vasopressin and oxytocin, they are the two hormones which are secreted from the hypothalamus, and they will be transported to the pituitary gland, and they will be stored in the pituitary gland. Okay, that is vasopressin and oxytocin from the posterior pituitary. Then there is a hypothalamo-hypophyseal portal system. So there is a portal system. Portal system means there is a tract which ends in the So this is the diagram showing the blood supply of the pituitary gland. Here we can see there is the connection between the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland. Okay. So this blood vessels which starts from the hypothalamus and ends in the pituitary gland. So this is known as hypothalamo-hypophyseal portal system. Okay. So through this hypothalamo-hypophyseal portal system, you can see it is ending as small tubules, and Here also inside small tubules. They are known as portal system. So here through this system the hormones that vasopressin and the oxytocin will reach us into the posterior pituitary gland. Then there will be two tracks related to same like that. Posterior pituitary, the neurons will be connecting from the one more diagram will show. So this is the diagram. You can see this is posterior pituitary. So the neurons will be starting from the hypothalamus. This is our hypothalamus. So from the hypothalamus, from the different parts of the hypothalamus, the neuron nerve fibers will start and they will be coming and ending into the posterior pituitary. Okay. So like this. Then this is known as hypothalamo-hypophyseal tract. Hypothalamo-hypophyseal tract. Okay. Then coming to the blood supply of the hypothalamus, blood supply of pituitary gland. So pituitary gland is supplied by the superior hypophyseal artery and inferior hypophyseal artery. Supplied by superior hypophyseal and inferior hypophyseal artery. And venous drainage, and here we can see these arteries will be dividing into small branches when it reaches inside the gland. Here also we can see after entering into the gland it will be dividing into small branches. Okay, superior hypophyseal and inferior hypophyseal. And venous drainage is by the it forms a plexus surrounding the glands and short veins emerges from the gland, hypophyseal gland. So short veins emerges from the gland and it drains into the neighboring dural venous sinuses. Dural venous sinuses are the sinuses or blood-filled spaces seen inside the dura mater. Okay. So it drains into the dural venous sinuses. Then that's all about the blood supply and clinical anatomy of the pituitary gland. The pituitary tumors can arise from the it can give rise to the two major symptoms, that is general symptoms which process the surrounding structures. So if there is any tumor in the pituitary gland, it will process the surrounding structures which are related to the gland. So this is the pituitary gland. So we can see if there is any tumor inside the pituitary gland, it can compress the surrounding structures leading to different symptoms. Okay. And another symptom is because it can affect the hormone secreted by the pituitary gland. So two types of symptoms can be seen in the pituitary tumors. Okay, one is because of the compression of surrounding structures produces other general symptoms, and specific symptoms as the which affects the hormones which are secreted by the pituitary gland. So that is pituitary tumor in the pituitary gland. And it can this hormonal effect, it will be depends upon the different hormones which are secreted by the pituitary gland. So it produces different symptoms, depends upon the type of hormones, which hormones it is affected, which part of the gland it is affected. So that's about the pituitary gland.